Good morning, everyone. Welcome to TCA. My name's Christian.
Good morning. I'm Andy.
Andy, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, good. Welcome, everyone. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. We got our streams up, so if you're watching us, as always, give us a shout out. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Tuesday morning here in North Carolina, as we always do each week, except for last week. We come to you live on Facebook and YouTube, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, here at Weinig Holz-Her USA.
We should probably talk a little bit about why we missed last week.
Yeah. So what was going on last week? Tell everybody where you were, Mr. Turner.
Well, first we should say that Christian was gone for a week, and he said something about this taking a, what'd you call it again?
A vacation.
A vacation.
A vacation.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I was on vacation last week, getting reacquainted with the outdoors, which felt amazing.
If you follow Christian on Instagram or Facebook or any place like that, you saw some of the amazing pictures.
Some of the cool shots.
Yeah.
But I would say more importantly, you were out in California. And so
not on vacation.
Not on vacation. So tell everybody what was going on out there.
So we had an event going on at our office in Anaheim.
Yep.
And so I took the opportunity. I went out a couple of days early.
Yep.
Spent a couple of days in Northern California with our regional manager and a new employee that we've got out there, and then traveled down for our event on Wednesday, Thursday at what we call Expo West, our office in Anaheim, California, where we have machines set up for demonstration.
Right.
Ready to run.
So at Expo West, how many machines do we have
out there?
There?
Well, okay.
What's the showroom looking like nowadays?
The showroom looks really good. Actually, It looked really good. We are still missing some machines. I don't know the exact count because we are missing a couple of machines, or we were missing a couple of machines that we would normally have when I was out there last week, but they will be back by the time we have our event in November.
Our next event, which we'll talk about later on.
But I mean, we were missing some stuff. But we have edge banders, we have a vertical CNC, we've got a vertical panel saw, we've got a couple molders, we've got chop saws, we got
it's panel processing and solid
wood. Yeah, yep. We try to show as much as we can in a roughly 5,000 square foot space.
Right.
It's a really nice facility.
Yeah.
And we show off a lot of technology.
Very cool.
And we had several companies. Interesting enough, we've talked about the industry as a whole and what the pulse we get, especially as we've been traveling more and getting out to see more people. We had some customers, some companies that had planned to come and were last minute no-shows, or they canceled the day before simply because they're too busy. So we've talked about this a little bit. Our industry has been booming. Yep. A lot of our industry is small business. Of course, when we do an open house in Southern California, it pulls, the draw is more local for people that can drive there.
Sure.
And Southern California is, they were a little later to bounce back, to fully open up and things like that. And they're busy. So the small shops that we work with, that we service out there, we're so busy. Some of them saying, I've got $3 million. They may be typically they may have been a $3 million company before, $4 million company, and now they said, I've got $3 million worth of product to deliver before the end of the year.
Right. I
really can't take the time to even a couple of hours to come to the open house. I apologize. I'll come. They're saying they're going to come in November.
So that is, I think that's an interesting dynamic that we face. And a couple weeks ago, we did a TCA where myself and Nathan Gower, we discussed automation and shops automating. And one of the hindrances or challenges that our industry faces right now is just the fact that we have so much product to get through our shops. Mm-hmm. It is tough to take that step back and evaluate the needs of your processes. So we totally understand that. But with that said, you guys did have a decent turnout at the open house at the showroom
for the first event back. We were adding it up. The last time we were there live for an event like this was Retool.
Yeah, Retool
so
tour.
It was 13 months. 13 months ago was the last time we had an event in person out there. California again. There were more restrictions, more mandates in place that have taken a little longer to ease, and so this was the first time we were able to do it. Right. So for a reopening, another grand opening, it was. it was good. You know, it was good to have some customers there. We were selling machines. Customers are busy. Again, some of them were too busy to come, but overall it was great. It was also a good time to visit with employees and some of the dealers in the western region of the U.S. that came down. So yeah, it was overall it was good to be back to something like normal.
So real quick, that is not the only event out west that we're doing this year. We have another event coming up in November. I'm going to pull up the date real quick,
16th
Andy.
and 17th, I believe. Is what
Yeah,
we said, right?
16th and 17th of November.
That's a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
Yep,
correct.
Tuesday, Wednesday. The week before Thanksgiving, out in Anaheim. So if you're in Southern California,
and you're planning to go to that, right?
I will be there.
I'm also planning to be there. So we're starting on Tuesday. We'll do a TCA from Anaheim.
Great. Yeah, we'll do some live streaming from the showroom and come to you live. But yeah, if you're in the area, stop by. We'd love to meet you and hang out with you and show you some of the latest and greatest technology.
We'll have some more machines. The showroom is full now, but we will have a 7505 push that will be in the shop, a CNC flat table CNC router that didn't you know, we're selling out of those. We're selling more of those this year than we ever have, so it's hard to put one that we're going to put in the showroom, but we will have one there by November.
Yeah, so that's exciting. So November, again, it's the 16th and the 17th of November. It's going to be a great event, so mark your calendars there. We'll put more about that event on social media as we get closer. We'll also put a registration link in the... Actually, we already have the registration page up, so we'll put it in the comments of this video, and you'll see it online. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure that you get all the updates. Also, we've been posting a lot on Instagram lately, so you can follow us there as well and see some cool videos of some machines in application and some pictures there.
Also, another shout out for what we did last week was we also that was our first event where we have the new partnership with SNX, and that was the first event where they were showing off their machine.
Great. So tell us a little bit about SNX.
So if you know about Holz-Her, of course we are the industry leader in edge banders, but the edge banders that we provide are for straight parts. You know, you send a straight edge through a machine.
A straight machine.
Through a straight machine, yeah.
Right.
But you know, more and more, especially when you get in the commercial or in the office industry, right? When you're making office furniture, you need some radius work done, and you need to also put that nice edge on a piece that is radiused. And so SNX makes a really nice machine to do radius work.
So radius edge banding.
Yeah. They call it a contour edge banding.
Contour edge banding is another way to put it. Yeah, SNX, great company, been around for a while. Yeah.
Everything's relative.
Sure.
They have the guys that own it. Mike and Craig, they have a lot of experience in our industry.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But I think SNX is a relatively young company.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good machine.
Yep.
And it does some good stuff. It's a simple machine.
Yeah. Which is good.
Yeah.
It gets the job done. Not super complicated. So we have some demo machines available to demo
in Anaheim and here in Mooresville.
Right.
So yeah, we'll be showing that machine off at our Oktoberfest, which we'll talk about.
Which is
soon.
here, right? Yep.
And probably even I think I've even spoken with them, and they would be comfortable to do some live streaming from that machine during the event next month. Right. Here in the showroom.
Yep. So we have a Contour Edge Bander available for demo, and also available for private demos. I would assume, here in Mooresville, and then also in Anaheim. So if you're interested in SNX banders, you know, get in touch with your local Holz-Her agent or sales rep, and they'll be able to give you more information about that. Okay, so that's great too. A lot of cool progressive stuff happening. Let's talk about Oktoberfest real quick. So yes, we had our event last week in Anaheim. We have another event in November in Anaheim, but here in North Carolina we have Oktoberfest. It's October 28th and 29th. We are very excited about it. We've been just very busy getting ready for the event. We're expecting a very good turnout here in the Charlotte area. for the event. I actually just looked at the attendance numbers this morning, and very encouraged with how many people plan to come out here for Oktoberfest. I mean, it's an open house, so you get to see the technology. Our showroom right now is packed full of machines, so that's great. There's just a lot to see. But then also, we're just going to have a fun time with the whole Oktoberfest theme. So we have, actually, I was just looking, we have quite a few companies that are bringing a good amount of people. And because, hey, you just take a day, come see the machines, get some additional training that you wouldn't have gotten before, and just have fun with us. We're just having a good time.
Again, it goes back to, we're a social industry, right?
Absolutely.
We saw that the greatest things about the event last week, the event that we had in Vegas at AWFS a big part of it was just people getting back together.
Right.
Getting to tell those stories that they haven't been able to tell in a while, right?
Yeah.
So we're having quite the pre-registration. The numbers are way up. Which in years past when we would do an event like this, our pre-registration
they were way down.
It would be down, and then the week before it would go up, and then we would have even more people show up. So we're not quite sure what to expect with as much pre-registration as we have. Actually, you should probably mention, how do you pre-register?
So you pre-register through a website. I'll put the link in the description of the video here. And it's super easy. You just go on it. We use a platform called Eventbrite. A lot of people use the same platform. Super easy. Just register, put your information there. Let us know that you're coming. And, we just want to know what to expect as far as people, because one thing that obviously this year makes it a little bit different as far as an open house goes is we need to just keep an eye on capacity. We need to keep an eye on what we're doing to make sure that our event can be attended safely.
Right.
And so that's one of the big reasons why we need everyone to pre-register for
we need to know you're coming, and we are watching closely what the CDC guidelines are for events and things like that. So
nowadays
that
you
could,
have to.
we're not, but that's what's keeping us from announcing exactly what to expect when you arrive, because that's changing.
Oh, it's as everybody knows, anyone who's been doing any kind of traveling, or has gone to any other part of the country that's not your own part, realizes that everything is still very much in flux right now. But if you pre-register, then a week or two before the event, which is in a couple weeks, the event's in a month, right? So in a couple weeks from now, we'll start sending out, guidelines, a questionnaire to just to let you know what to expect when you get here. So,
right.
Yeah, but
be prepared for anything. Over the last 18 months, things change consistently. So be prepared for any of those things that you had to do in the last 18 months. Some of that could be relevant and enforced or recommended when you come.
Yeah. So we'll give everyone guidance on that. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have a lot of cool technology here. One thing that I did want to mention, because I believe it's getting set up right now, is we will have a Holz-Her Store Master system. That's the inventory and retrieval system that a lot of people are interested in right now.
There's a lot of stuff happening this week and next week in the showroom.
Yeah.
We've been waiting on a lot of the machines to arrive. Of course, just like everyone else, we've had delays. There's lead time issues. There's logistics issues.
Sure.
Not only just with the cost of freight, but just things getting delayed, things getting held up at port, things like that. But so over when I left a week and a half ago, I guess, and I was gone all last week, and when I came back in yesterday, I was actually amazed. I was talking with Sean Pogue about how you can really tell that a lot of stuff you miss if you miss being in the showroom for a week and then you come back. There's a lot that's happened, and even more is happening now. We're going to be, by the end of this week, it's going to look totally different than it did yesterday.
So getting back to a couple of the highlights that will be on display in Oktoberfest, I think on the panel processing side, we will have a Store Master that's feeding, I believe, a beam saw and a router. Yeah, correct. Yeah,
a new beam saw.
Yep.
So we're gonna have a new. For the longest time, Holz-Her's had two sizes, 10-foot and 14-foot. For beam saws, we're gonna have the 12-foot saw here.
So we'll have a 12-foot saw here. We'll also have it feeding a dynastic. That's a nested base router. I think that's important to note, because the storage retrieval systems right now for all across the industry. I mean, it seems like each brand has their own take on it, but they're getting very, very popular with the influx of, I'll say, inventory storage that's happening in our industry right now. They are becoming a really almost, I don't want to say commonplace, but fairly commonplace for larger manufacturers. So, and then with that said, then they kind of trickle down into smaller manufacturers as well, finding ways to make storage and retrieval systems work for them, cutting out forklift work, which is
because
huge.
in so many small shops, a forklift trying to go through the shop is a nightmare. So if you could inventory more material, so you have to try to navigate a forklift through your shop less often, that's a big deal. So I think that the one we're going to show here is, because we're not a manufacturing facility, so we're limited on space here. So we will have a smaller storage system, still feeding a beam saw and a CNC router, so you can get an idea of what it could look like in a small shop.
Right, absolutely. You know, obviously a lot of shops will use storage retrieval systems as just inventory management, moving panels around, making bunks that they can then take out of their retrieval system, bring to a machine. You know, all of these systems can also feed the machine. Our system will be feeding 2 machines, which is super cool to watch. So that's going to be happening. The other thing on the solid wood side, I want to throw the solid wood guys a little bit of love this morning too. On the solid wood side, we have rearranged part of our showroom to create a fairly real life linear molding cell, which has, you know, it's one of those things where in a real shop, this is how it would really be put together. And I think that's important for folks to see. Sometimes when you go to machine showrooms, including our own, you don't really get to see what a shop would put together. You get to see what we put together, which is like machines together. But we have put together a real operating cell in our showroom. Is,
and the difference, so typically, if you've been to an open house here in Mooresville, we've shown the linear molding cell before, but we've had to, it hasn't been very efficient, very convenient to see it.
It wasn't a real life setup, right?
Because you're having to see the showroom. The showroom A is where most of the time the molders would be. We'd have to see a molder here. You go to the tool room, also in showroom A, but then to go to a rip saw or a chop saw, you got to go back.
Yeah.
So we've got all of the machines anyway. You can show the tool room, which that's not so unique to have a tool room away from where these machines are, right? So you're getting the tooling ready. We can see that. Then we can go right out to where we're going to have the rip saw, the chop saw, and the molder all in a space to be able to show that true linear molding cell.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're excited about that. Again, that's going to be Oktoberfest. Let me throw the dates out there real quick. That's October 28th, 29th. That's a Thursday, Friday.
Yes.
Right before Halloween, Andy. Yeah. Are you going to dress up for Oktoberfest?
I am not.
No? Like not even a little bit?
No, well, I guess it depends on what you call dressing up.
Well, we can leave that up for interpretation, I guess.
I may be dressed up. But it might mean that I'm looking a little more professional than I am today.
Okay, so that's not fun, but that's fine. All right, so it's right before Halloween weekend, the 28th, 29th, Oktoberfest here, so that's exciting. I'll put the pre-registration link in the video so you guys can pre-register. So please come. Also, one more thing about Oktoberfest. If you're watching this, bring your operators. Bring your operators to Oktoberfest. This is one. It's just great for operators to be able to get out and network and talk to technicians. We will have a lot of them here under the roof.
I'm sure they've got questions, right? And this is the place
to
get those questions answered.
Also, we are going to be having maintenance workshops, as we always do.
Not training sessions necessarily, because when you do training, that's going to be a week long.
It's like a classroom type thing.
Classroom type, but there will be some hour long, maybe some of them are longer than an hour, I'm not sure, but Christian has put together quite the agenda.
We have a full 2 days.
It's going to be action packed.
All right, one more thing about Oktoberfest, and then I promise to shut up about this. One more shout out, and I'm going to be putting some stuff on social media about this in the next week or two. But big shout out to Netherman. Netherman's dust collection company. and they will be hosting a happy hour on that Thursday.
Thursday afternoon.
That will couple our Oktoberfest. Very exciting. They are great folks over there. They're going to be here under our roof for the entire event. And then, like I said, they're going to be hosting a happy hour. We're excited to have them.
Just across the street, not far away.
Yeah, we're all going to shut up shop here and go across the street to a local brewery and have and celebrate and continue to celebrate Oktoberfest over there. So it'll be great. Okay, that's enough about Oktoberfest. You guys should come register the whole deal. So Andy, why don't you tell everybody what's going on in the industry?
First, we should say good morning to Chris Sauer.
Okay, who's watching?
Who's watching? Yeah, he's on the road in Virginia. Says
Chris, good morning.
Always like to get some interaction with the folks when we're live here.
Anybody else watching, send us over a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a shout out. Let us know who you are, where you're watching from, and that would be cool. So, okay, Andy, what's going on?
There's a lot going on in the industry. So for the last there is. Yeah. So for the last year and a half, and I think I touched on this a little bit when we did TCA here earlier a couple weeks ago. We were mostly focused on the housing statistics. You know, what was going on with the housing starts, whether it be multifamily or single family, and that's certainly a big part of what we do. All right, so because we're so tied to housing, because there's a lot of wood products that go into the builds, that stuff is fluctuating, but it's still. Like there have been some information coming out that we were higher than predicted in August, but it's still August was lower than July. You know, but they're still predicting to be pretty steady. They're going to see growth in 2021 over 2020. There are many people that are saying we're going to see some pretty serious growth. You know, I was thinking, we were hearing before that we thought that what we were seeing in 2021 was going to continue through 2022. Not a ton of growth, but we were going to be at a decent level. Now I'm hearing that 2022 should see a little bit of growth over 2021, and even now people are predicting out into 2023. So the short-term future, short-term being the next few years, for our industry looks very strong if you look at housing. Now, we talked a little bit about labor. That's a real problem. I did hear a report that now we have, a couple weeks ago, I talked about the unemployment and where we have 9.2 million jobs that were open, 9.5 million people on unemployment. It's almost a wash as far as the people that are on unemployment and the jobs that are available. Those open positions now has grown. That's grown to 10 million open positions. I was on a call last week with week before with the VDMA, which is a mechanical engineering society in Europe. They're based in Germany, and so they have different segments within the organization where they work with machinery manufacturers to give them data on the industry. The reason I was on the call is because they've started trying to broaden and get outside of Europe, and they are working with European companies that have a focus or have a headquarters in the U.S., and they're giving information out of Europe. They're focusing more of their information for this call anyway on the U.S. And what they're starting to say is that, or not starting to say, the information that they've pulled is that the wood industry had the fastest or second strongest growth recovery from this recession. The only industry that was a better or stronger recovery or quicker recovery than the woodworking industry was textiles. And I don't know exactly what that, because textiles would also include your CRP and things like, carbon fiber reinforced plastics and things. So I would assume that some of that's going into automotive and things, even though you're talking about textiles. Also, something that we haven't spoken about, because typically we focus a lot, while we sell machines to a lot of furniture manufacturers, a lot of what we do, because we were so focused on housing, has been molding, of course, doors, windows, cabinets, things like that. They're saying that the residential furniture in the U.S. was up 51% in the first half of this year over last year even.
I don't doubt it.
And last year was a pretty big year, right? I mean, we all did better last year than we thought it was going to be. First half of this year, residential furniture is up 51%. So if you're catering to the residential furniture industry, then this might be a good time. Maybe you already know that that's happening, but certainly those folks need your attention, because they're going to want to automate and get more efficient.
Sure.
The main thing that people are commenting on that they're watching is logistics. Though we talked about that before with some of the delays that we've had with
Supply
machines
chain
coming in here,
logistics,
supply chain. Well, so it goes all the way back to supply chain feeding the manufacturers of machines in Europe, and they're trying to get them over here. So that's certainly putting a wrinkle in the whole plan. But the freight, whether it's ocean freight, whether it's just import. If you're importing machines, or freight from Charlotte to California, if you're shipping here in the U.S.,
sure.
there are people that are facing as much as 4 times on the cost for containers. Trucking companies are more expensive. I mean, of course, fuel prices are up, but supply and demand, people need to ship stuff, and there aren't as many trailers available. So there's a domino effect. So freight rates are a big concern right now.
Freight rates are a big concern, not just for our industry, but for a lot of different industries. Where's that going to take us? I really wonder. Freight rates, I've been thinking a lot about that, and I really wonder if we're going to see a shift in warehousing and distribution, more of a broad approach to setting up more.
But you're still going to need more trucks to transport stuff from those distribution locations, which is interesting because with what we do with solid wood, we were doing a lot of rip saws, chop saws, and molders, and we had a little influx. 3 of the large trailer manufacturers have all been buying machinery just to try to keep up with it. They've got to produce more. They've got to produce more floorboards for these for the trailers.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Which is such a cool little niche of the industry, right? Floorboards, the trailers. That's a big business, actually, but you wouldn't think it. So so everybody, I think, is feeling that crunch. It's going to be really interesting to see where we go on this. A few weeks back, I was at the EBC in Colorado Springs, the Executive Briefing Conference, and really, if you could take out the 3 main topics out of that conference, it was labor, it was supply chain, and it was automation, and I think that gets echoed pretty much anywhere.
Doesn't matter if you're in our industry or not.
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly.
Every industry is the same thing.
So that's something that we're all dealing with, and I believe that it's something that us as a machine supplier can. I don't know. We can come along and partner in that area, and I think that's one of the really cool things about our niche of this industry is that not only do we just supply a product, but we're supplying solutions that kind of bridge that gap for challenges that we're currently facing. It's neat to be in that position.
Yeah, it certainly creates new and unpredicted challenges.
Yeah.
With all the things that keep getting going, every time we think, okay, maybe we're gonna even out, and we can just, I hate to say coast, but we would think that we could kind of settle into a little bit of a groove, and then everything changes again.
Sure.
There's a new challenge that comes up, whether it be supply chain that's causing delays on machines coming out, whether it be freight rates, a lot of things that aren't in our control. There were a lot of challenges that we were able to tackle to get more efficient on the things that we were in control of, and we continue to try to tweak and try to get better at that. But then there's so many things that we're out of control on, and we just have to, what do you do?
Well, like everybody else, we're trying our best to, to keep our inventory levels right, to keep our lead times right, to be able to fulfill the requests that we have. And
yeah. If you're wondering about what we do, we've almost ordered enough machines to cover our forecast for next year.
Well, okay, but so hang on, and let's talk a little bit about that real quick, because I think it's an important topic to cover. For someone watching, Andy, that is not super familiar with how, I guess you could say, the machinery sales and service works in the U.S., when Andy says that we've ordered machines, that means that we in the U.S., we've ordered machines from the factories in Germany because we stock machines here in the U.S.
Right, so you're not having to wait for it to come out of the factory.
Exactly.
Because, again, with logistic issues, with the supply chain issues, we try to have it here. Now, I know that many of you that are watching are saying, well, I just ordered a machine, and you've told me it's going to be X amount of months to get it, and
8 months
you don't have it,
like
whatever, yes, and you don't have it in stock. And And if you're working with us on a large project, yeah, those things get pushed way out because all that stuff does have to be built, and we have the issues we've talked about before, supply chain, freight, all those things. But what we typically do is different factories within our group, they have their own production methods and things. So some of them we are actually able to reserve production slots.
Yep.
And so we go ahead and the different production lines would cover a certain range of products in the factory, right? So we just say, okay, we want slots. We want this many slots on this production line on this date. This month, this month, this month. And then as we get closer, we can say we want this machine. We can define
so
that brings lead times way down.
It does. It brings lead times way down. But also, I was going to say, you said that there's probably people watching who have ordered a machine from us with a longer lead time. Well, there's probably also plenty of people watching who have ordered a machine and it's been 3 weeks until install. Yeah. And that's just basically.
Well, sometimes right now sometimes it's 3 weeks till they get it. Right. And it might be a little longer to get installed. We're working hard on all of those things. We actually have hired 7 more technicians, I think, in September.
Yeah. But the point is that we like some other companies, but unlike other companies, have a warehouse full of machines that are ready to be shipped and installed in various locations. This is important to note, because at times people are ready to make that investment to grow yesterday, and they just can't wait, and we realize that. And that's why we do that. So when Andy says that we've ordered all these machines, we have, and then we keep them here, ready for the sales that we're taking from the field. So rest assured, if you're dealing with a Weinig or Holz-Her rep in your area, know that sure, some solutions are going to be custom and coming from the factory in Europe specifically for your shop. Other solutions we may have in our warehouse here in Charlotte or in California, and we can definitely expedite that rather than waiting months to install. So
looking at the comments here, it looks like Michael Mushkett has invited Lynn Sheffield to wear his lederhosen during Oktoberfest.
Yeah, as he should do that. Totally.
I have heard rumblings that there could be some lederhosen at the event.
Andy, are you going to wear it?
I will not be wearing lederhosen.
Will you dress up at all for the event?
I mean, put a jacket on. That's dressed up, right?
All right. So, all right, everyone. So that's going to wrap it up for TCA this morning. Thanks for hanging with us on Tuesday morning. We hope you have a very good and productive week. For the rest of the week, we will be coming to you next week. Yeah, next Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. And with more industry insights, events, etc. Check out the comments to this video. I will, once we stop the feed here, I will put the registration links in the comments for both Oktoberfest and the November event at Expo West, which is our Anaheim location. So again, thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Christian. That's Andy. Yeah, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great week.